Good evening, everyone. Severe Weather Team 9 meteorologist Nathan John joining you for this edition of Nate at 8. And the snow upon us, our first round of widespread accumulating snow, especially of an inch to 2 inches and above. That's what's looking likely across our area as we extend it to tomorrow morning. And it's more so the timing less than the amounts. Even dealing with some light amounts right before the morning commute is bad. And that's unfortunately what we're going to be dealing with. That's some bad timing that the snow is going to be falling into the morning commute before tapering off in the afternoon. So coming up for this edition of Nate at 8, obviously that's going to be the highlight. We have that winter weather advisory in effect. It goes from midnight tonight until 1 p.m. tomorrow afternoon, but we'll break down really what time to watch for that snow. That's a pretty broad range for that winter weather advisory, but we'll break down a better idea timing for that snow as we go into tomorrow. But again, winter weather advisory is in effect across our area from midnight tonight until 1 p.m. tomorrow afternoon. Snow will be breaking out across our area late tonight into tomorrow morning. Again, we'll break into more of that specific timing to, of course, discuss the amounts, discuss impacts, which, yes, anticipated to bring some slippery road conditions into tomorrow morning. So starting off right now, looking at clouds and radar, we're starting to spot some of that snow on the fringe of our area. And as we broaden our view and look back further to the west, you notice more of that snow extending across not only the Buckeye State, but back into Indiana as well as Illinois. And now this isn't going to show the whole story, because what we're going to be noticing for most of the night until we really get into early tomorrow morning, dry air is really going to hinder a lot of this snow initially. In fact, notice what's happening with some of this snow, even as we look into areas south of I-70 with some of the snow trying to make its way into our area, that you notice how a lot of this is even dissipating. So not only is the snow not reaching the ground through a layer of dry air, but a lot of it's actually dissipating as it makes its way into our area as well. And now we deal with this likely for a good period of time, even past midnight. Once we do get closer to 3-4 o'clock in the morning is when we'll likely notice a lot of that snow begin to break out. But for a good portion of tonight, this dry air is going to win out. It's going to take some time for that dry air to moisten to the extent where it's not going to be a factor. And eventually, yes, we get a good window of time where the snow will likely be accumulating. So let's jump into our future cast and start here. And there's a look closer to midnight. Again, it's still at this time. We can have some snow entering our area. A lot of it can be dissipating. A lot of it cannot be reaching the ground. Dry air still winning out. Now, as we fast forward a little bit more, we're going to start to see the snow become more widespread. This is when we'll really start to eat away at that layer of dry air. And this layer of dry air will begin to moisten there at about 2-3 o'clock in the morning. And then once we get closer to 4 o'clock, this begins our window of time. So at this point, not anticipating that dry air to be a factor, at this point, the snow is likely reaching the ground, and we'll start our window of time at about 4 a.m. And that window of time continues up to about 8 a.m. So a good 4-hour window going into the morning commute where snow is likely. Snowfall rates can be around a half inch to an inch. And this is our main period of time where we are accumulating our snow. Yes, we can still see some snow linger past 8 o'clock, but notice a lot of this is starting to taper off at that point, and we get closer to 10 o'clock, a lot of the snow is done, and we are anticipating the snow to end by the time we get into midday. So it is a narrow window of time, but it is impactful where we're dealing with this, and of course, it's mainly centered around tomorrow morning's commute is where it's going to be impactful that we're dealing with this snow. So looking at some headlines, again, initially for a good period of tonight, dry air will win out. It's going to hinder a lot of the snow initially. A lot of it dissipates, a lot of it sublimates, which means that the snow is falling, but it's not reaching the ground. So you may notice snow over the radar for your location here early on tonight, but the snow is not reaching the ground. Now, again, eventually breaks out closer to 3-4 o'clock in the morning. That starts our window of time, 4 to 8 a.m. roughly, right? That's our window of time where we pick up the majority of our snow. Most of us likely see snowfall totals between about 2 to 4 inches. That's where a lot of us will likely end up as we look ahead. And now the dry air, is it can hinder, these snow accumulations initially, but we still likely get a good 4 hour window where those snowfall rates can be about a half inch to an inch, where again, we've got a good odds for at least 2 inches. We can even break it down by chance, and 70% chance of 2 inches or more snow. That's good odds, right? Now, the odds do start to drop off by 3 to 4 inches, and it starts to become less likely that we're piling up a lot of snow. But good odds for at least 2 inches of snow. The odds will start to drop off, especially when we're talking about 4 or 5 inches of snow. That's where it's not looking likely that we're ending up with snowfall amounts. So here's another way to put it as well. The low end, maybe some more isolated locations fail to reach 2 inches of snow. A lot of us, again, between about 2 to 4 inches of snow at most, maybe on the high end up to about 5 inches. But this gives you a good idea of the amount of snow we can get. Now, I know a lot of us focus on the amount of snow, but in reality, the main concern, right, is the impact, how it translates to road conditions. This is going to be the bigger impact. The timing, I think, of this is worse than the actual snow amounts, just because, again, a lot of this is occurring into the morning commute. So for our road conditions, not an issue as we go into a good portion of tonight. As we start to see the snow initially break out closer to 4 a.m., and when we start to see some of those slick spots develop, and then just anticipating some slippery road conditions in general, getting closer to 6, 8 a.m. into the morning commute. Still anticipating we can have some slick spots lingering late morning, but at this point, road conditions are starting to improve. And I think we see a drastic improvement in road conditions by the afternoon. Even by midday, we're going to start to see a big improvement. Maybe some back roads could still have some slippery conditions and spots, but it's a big improvement as we get into the afternoon, and likely a lot of the roads are cleared around midday and even more, and to the point where there's likely not many slick spots, if any, for the afternoon commute. I think it's a drastic improvement for the afternoon, and this is primarily confined into the morning. Our temperatures during this are going to be upper 20s, likely hovering around the upper 20s for a lot of this snowfall. That being said, the salt crews are placing down will be effective, and it's just a matter of keeping up with the snow. That's going to be the big key. A lot of our interstates could be okay, right? Where you at least got some tire tracks, not to say they're going to be completely clear during that window of time where the snow is falling between 4, 8 a.m., right? It can be a situation where crews are going out, clearing it, and it can get covered again. But the interstates, I would say, could be, at least we could see at least a tire track. Salt will be very effective that crews are placing down. So at least the main roads, I would say, still watch for some slippery spots on those roads. But I think it's more of the side roads that are going to be more slippery and just bad in general for tomorrow morning's commute. It's just a matter of where crews can get to, right, to place the product down. But at least the salt that they're placing down going to be very effective with temperatures upper 20s near 30 with that range. A lot of times we deal with our snowfall into the 20s and even closer to the teens. When the temperatures start to drop, the salt that crews are placing down becomes less effective, and it can be harder for crews to be able to clear the roads. But with this, thankfully that the salt that crews are placing down will likely be quite effective. Again, that doesn't equate to roads being completely clear, even on the interstates, but at least with crews getting out, and I've heard even crews are doing some pre-treating for tonight, and then crews, I'm sure, will be out in full force for tomorrow morning, that hopefully at least the interstates will at least have some tire paths, at least some clearing in spots, excuse me, for tomorrow morning. But in general, it's just a situation where you want to allow yourself extra time to get to your destination, right? Take it slow, use some caution tomorrow morning, as these roads, they're not going to be good, right? Just not going to be good tomorrow morning. Unfortunately, a lot of these roads are going to be covered. Crews may not get to a lot of these more side roads tomorrow morning as they're focusing on the interstate and main routes. So just be prepared. Your road could be completely snow covered as you get out and going tomorrow morning. That's the reality of what we're going to be dealing with. Now, as we do look ahead, I just want to quickly mention as well, we are tracking another round of some snow showers to watch for Wednesday night into Thursday morning. Now, that round does not look to bring as much snow as what we're dealing with this time around. These snowfall amounts are much lighter into Thursday morning, and it's likely just getting that coating to an inch into Thursday morning. Just something else to be mindful of into Thursday morning's commute. We could at least deal with some more slick spots, again, to the morning commute, not anticipating a widespread, major impact like what we're dealing with for tomorrow morning, but just something else to keep in mind, keep it in the back of our minds. So not only dealing with this for tomorrow morning's commute. But just keep in mind for Thursday morning's commute, maybe we still want to allow yourself some extra time to get to your destination, as we can still have some slick spots on our roads. So again, if you're just tuning in, the snowfall forecast here, the overall amounts, most of us likely in about 2 to 4 inches of snow. That's where a lot of us end. Some of those, down along the Ohio River Valley, that can trend a little warmer and limit snow potential. The fact that we have still some dry air to contend, if the dry air is more impactful than anticipated, on the low end, some locations may pick up 1 to 2 inches, but a lot of us are likely within 2 to 4 inches, at most 5 inches if we get a heavier snow band setting up. I think the best odds for that's going to be towards Tuscarawas, Carroll, Columbiana County. If we can get some that heavier snow band setting up for those areas, maybe on that high end, upwards of around 5 inches of snow. But a lot of us between 2 to 4, within a 4-hour window of time, roughly 4 to 8 a.m. is when a lot of the snow will fall, and that's where we'll pick up a lot of that 2 to 4 snowfall rates about a half inch to an inch per hour. About a half inch to an inch per hour is when to watch the snowfall amounts as we do extend going into tomorrow morning. And again, past this, the other period to watch for is into Thursday morning. We can have some snow showers in place there into Thursday. For Thursday morning, coating to an inch, more likely the snowfall amount. So, not as impactful as what we're dealing with for tomorrow morning, but some snow showers are possible into that period as well. From there, looking dry into the weekend, and then potential for some more snow showers Sunday, but it's a little more up in the air right now. Not quite as confident on the snow potential Sunday, but at least we have here Tuesday, Thursday that we're really focused on before we even get into Sunday, and pretty good odds there. Obviously dealing with our widespread snow for tomorrow morning, and then more of a snow shower activity and some very light snowfall amounts possible again into Thursday morning. So those are two time periods to watch here near term. Something else to note, you may have already spotted it, but something else to note with this snow cover, it does impact our temperatures. So we start to notice our temperatures trend a little cooler in the afternoon and colder at night. And as we do look ahead with this snow cover in place, we likely don't melt too much of this as we go over the next few days. Again, maybe adding a little bit more to it for Thursday, that as we start to see, if we get some clearing at night, which we likely won't get too much until we get into Thursday night. So if we do get that clearing Thursday night, which I think we can get some clearing Thursday night into Friday, maybe even quite possibly mostly clear skies before back to partly cloudy skies Friday. That in combination with a calm wind is a recipe to see temperatures really drop off, and dry air. Our dew points could be in the single digits Thursday night. Dry air, a little cloud cover, a calm wind, and watch out with that snow cover, because Thursday night into Friday, these temperatures likely well in the teens, and we'll see just how close some of those cold locations can get awfully close, I think, to the single digits Friday morning. So it's worth mentioning that cold morning as well ahead for Friday morning, and just in general, a cold stretch here for the first week of December. If you've missed our winter weather forecast, we touched on the fact that we could have that cold start to December, and overall forecasting a cold December where winter can start off. It's more front loaded, so we can get more of our wintry conditions, cold, snowy conditions December, and then we can start to moderate their temperatures as we get into February, in a little more seasonable January. So we can notice our coldest month this winter end up being December. And especially, it was interesting when I looked up the first week of December, when we dealt with below normal temperatures for the first week of December, that equated, there was a good correlation that looking at over the past 30 years, that when we dealt with a cold first week of December, that the following winter ended up with seasonable to below normal temperatures. So it's an interesting correlation that we start off our winter months cold, and it's a good correlation that overall our winter is more seasonable to below normal. We don't typically end up with a warm winter whenever we're starting off winter cold for the first week of December. Just an interesting statistic I noted, very strong correlation that I would noted over the past 30 years for us here into the Ohio Valley. And also, when we do end up with a cold December, it kind of goes hand in hand. I understand that, but it actually ups our odds quite a bit for a white Christmas. I know it goes hand in hand, right? Well, of course, right? It's cold December. Of course, it increases our odds for white Christmas, right? Of course. But statistically, we're actually quite a lot, and we're looking at it's about a 64% chance. That's pretty good odds. 64% chance that during a cold December we end up with a white Christmas. So if you're hoping for a white Christmas, the overall forecast, we don't see a warm stretch here going into the middle of the month. This looks like an overall cold stretch, and I think a lot of December ends up cold. And again, good odds that I think our chance for a white Christmas this year could end up being, statistically over the past 30 years, has been about 64% chance. So we could be looking at a decent odds. Obviously way too early to make the call now, but just something else interesting to note I added to the winter weather forecast if you missed out, looking at our white Christmas chances when we're talking about a cold December. Thank you all for tuning in. Let's get to those comments. Good evening, Austin. Can't believe the countdown towards Christmas is officially upon us. Zootopia 2 was amazing, but I was shocked to see a lot of people coming to see this sequel. Good to hear that the movie was good there, Austin. Glad you had a good time. And yeah, hard to believe December upon us, and the countdown to Christmas is as well. Barbara is watching. Thank you, Barbara. Thank you for tuning in. Heard that we could get 2 to 5 inches. Another saying we can get 3 to 6. Yesterday was insane. Around 5 p.m., I saw about 250 crows circling behind Walmart. They were getting out. They said, we are out of here. We're dodging this snow. We're getting out. We're flying out of here. Marcia says no to the snow. And Renee says, already starting to see a little bit of that snow there at St. C, asking 2 to 4 inches. And that's where, yeah, a lot of us, Renee, likely end up around 2 to 4 inches of snow is where a lot of us will likely end up. Again, on the low end, some of those along the Ohio River Valley, where temperatures can trend a little warmer near the Ohio River, you can trend a little bit lower. If we do have dry air winning out a little more than anticipated, that we could get closer to an inch. That's kind of the low end, but most of us are 2 to 4. On the high end, maybe up to about 5 inches for some of those high end amounts, some of those higher elevations, likely up toward closer to Tuscarawas, Carroll, Columbiana County, maybe some higher amounts up that way too. But that's where, yes, most of us will likely end up around that range. Tris says, I'm so excited, joining us from Glendale, West Virginia. Thanks for tuning in. And Thomas saying, yay, a lot of snow lovers in this Nate at 8 for this evening. Travis, I missed it. How much? About 2 to 4 there. Again, that's a good range for a lot of the area. I think that about 2 to 4 is where most of us are likely ending up. Let us know at that time of the year for it. Suzanne says, let it snow, let it snow. Let it snow. Bring out the Christmas music and the snowfall. Brendan says snowfall map. And yeah, just about 2 to 4. I didn't do a map. I don't think it varies too much across our area. I think it's roughly about the same. I don't foresee it varying too much. Again, as some of those along the Ohio River Valley, where temperatures can trend a little warmer, can limit snow accumulation. Maybe some areas towards Tyler, Wetzel County, maybe if we get a little surge of warm air a little further north, maybe it's a little lower amounts in those locations. But again, a lot of us are likely within about 2 to 4 is where a lot of us are going to end up. I don't see it varying too much. Sandy says, let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. New Cumberland, West Virginia will get none. Chucky says New Cumberland, West Virginia will get none. The prediction by Chucky. What do you mean by Ohio River Valley? So just along the Ohio River, if you live right along the Ohio River, sometimes that temperatures can trend a little warmer right there along the Ohio River. That can limit the amounts. It's possible. It's possible that it could limit it to an extent where, lower on the scale there with an inch or two, but a lot of us about 2 to 4. Mocha, coffee, and hot chocolate time. Well, that sounds good there, Suzanne. Sounds good. How does thunder snow work? That's a very convective snow. So that's where you're dealing with some very convective snow, where you're dealing with the strong updrafts within that snow, very heavy snow during that, and it's more convective in nature, just like our thunderstorms, and that can prompt that thunder snow. Very cool to see. I'd love to see it sometimes. I don't think we'll deal with snow that heavy enough to where we'll get some thunder snow overnight, but it would certainly be cool. Definitely, hopefully you can see that sometime in my lifetime. Always wanted to. I think it's so cool. Cincinnati, Zumpland, we are the move. Asking about Cincinnati. And a little out of our area there, Zumpland, but likely still picking up some. A little further south. Could end up with a little lighter amounts than what we're dealing with here in Eastern Ohio, the Northern Panhandle. Warm air aloft and cold air collided. Suzanne says the warm air aloft and cold air collided. referring to our thunder snow. And so again, we get those with a strong updraft with some heavy snow can yield those thunder snows. Kayleen joining us. And thank you so much. Thank you all for tuning into this edition of Nate at 8. Again, if you're just joining in, I look back at our snowfall amounts. There's always obviously a question when it comes to forecasting the snow. But I think we're likely, a lot of us end up as about 2 to 4. We're talking about what can happen, if the forecast is if the amounts are a little under than what's forecast on the low end, say that the warm air is winning out along the Ohio River, and say that temperatures are trending a little warmer right along the Ohio River, and that the snow's not sticking as well for those areas on the low end, closer to 1 to 2 is possible. Say dry air is really winning out. Which I don't think it's going to completely win out, but what if it did? Well, that would be something that, we're not anticipating. And then again, on the low end, closer to an inch. There's always some variables when it comes to forecasting, obviously. So it's a good way to look at, okay, what is in terms of the snow, depending on how you look at it. Say you don't like the snow. The best case scenario would be just getting about an inch, right? That's the best case scenario. The worst case scenario, if you don't like the snow, would be about 5 inches. So it's just another way to put in that snow forecast, another way to look at it, where again, the likely range is what we'll likely end up with is about 2 to 4 inches. That's where a lot of us will likely end up within that range as we do extend into tomorrow morning. And again, we pick up most of that between about 4 a.m. in between about 8 a.m. What can happen with at most? Well, we can potentially see some heavier snow bands set up. I think we have the potential for that. I think the best odds for that is towards Tuscarawas, Carroll, Columbiana County. So if we can get that band of heavier snow to set up, that's what would trigger those higher amounts, right? Again, question of if where, right? I think the best odds if it sets up is more towards Tuscarawas, Columbiana, Carroll County. If that heavier band of snow sets up, maybe we end up on that at most mark, right? And we end up around 5 inches possibly for those areas. So that's just, again, another way that meteorologists, as we try to predict the snowfall amounts, there can be a lot that goes into it. And when you always have some degree of uncertainty, it's just a good way with that snow forecast to put that into a forecast, right? Where you have a low end at most. What are we likely? What is the forecast, right? But what can happen if the forecast, if something occurs where we get less than anticipated, well, that would be an inch. If we get a little more than anticipated, that'd be 5 inches. Again, it's just a way to put into perspective of the forecast that we have for tomorrow morning. A lot of us I know are focused on the amounts. What to really know is that, the roads are not going to be good for tomorrow morning's commute. They're not. You're going to want to allow yourself some extra time to get to your destination. The roads really across the area are just going to be bad. I know that some of the interstates could be okay. But I think a lot of these side roads are going to be bad. Crews are obviously just going to try to keep up with the snow on the main roads, which again, if crews are concentrating on the interstates and the main roads, could be okay. But we start to get to these side roads and they're going to be slick. They're going to be bad. A lot of them can be covered, right? You can step out. It looks like crews haven't even been to your locations, even though they might have earlier in the morning. Just with that snowfall between 4 and 8 a.m., crews are going to be struggling to keep up with the snowfall. And of course, concentrating primarily on the main roads. And it can be a case where your road is just completely covered. We can see that across a lot of the area. That's really the most important part of the forecast, right? That's it. And that's for tomorrow morning. And again, as we get closer to about midday and on, we see a drastic improvement in road conditions. It's a pretty narrow window of time, I think, for impacts tomorrow, but it's just unfortunate that it goes right into the morning commute. And I'll go back to the road condition forecast as well. And again, I think it's really right into that narrow window of time past 4 a.m., continuing a little past 8 a.m., right in that narrow window of time for the morning commute is when we'll likely notice the worst road conditions and then a drastic improvement. The snow begins to taper off by 10 a.m. By noon, I don't foresee any snow across the area. We're drying up even by a lot of the snow, again, even ends by 10 a.m. So we should see a drastic improvement in road conditions late morning, midday, The main road should be clear before noon. Some of the side roads will likely start to be cleared before noon. And, we'll notice a lot of those interstate state routes being cleared likely by midday. Maybe some of then the more township roads, county roads starting to be cleared then by the afternoon. And I think it's just overall a drastic improvement in road conditions for the afternoon commute. A lot of these roads are just wet to dry likely for the afternoon hours tomorrow, as crews are able to keep up. Temperatures likely topping off right around freezing, possibly just above freezing. That's really going to help clear those roads as well for tomorrow afternoon. It's just a lot of variables that we notice a big improvement in the afternoon. So I wouldn't be worried about the drive home tomorrow. I wouldn't be worried about the afternoon commute tomorrow. But I would certainly, again, be worried about the morning commute. Allow yourself a lot of time to get to your destination and just be prepared. Those roads are likely slick tomorrow morning. And again, the snow starts to break out closer to 4 a.m. across our area. And that's when that snow starts to pick up in intensity as well, between about 4 and 8 a.m. Our heaviest snow, half inch to an inch, roughly an hour. And that can equate to a good 2 to 4 inches as we do extend from 4 to 8 a.m. So those are the numbers to know. 4 to 8 a.m., about a half inch to an inch per hour equates to about 2 to 4 inches. That's the window of time. We could sneak in a little bit of snow before 4 a.m., but that's likely our core window of time where we really start to pile up that snow. And that's really what to take away from the forecast going into tomorrow morning. And following that, yes, another time period just to be mindful of is into Thursday morning as well. We'll likely have some snow showers in place, but a lot lower amounts. Likely within a coating to an inch from some snow showers with a cold front passage. And then from there, I could say Thursday night is a bigger story than Thursday morning. It is cold. Temperatures very cold for this time of the year into Friday morning, where these temperatures are dipping well in the teens with the snow cover, little cloud cover, calm wind, dry air with dew points in the single digits. And that's a recipe for a very cold Friday morning. So also watch out for that. Keep that in mind for Friday morning. And for Thursday morning, again, a little more snow showers are possible as well. Britain's asking, is there no school tomorrow in East Liverpool? Junior high school tomorrow, is that no school? And yeah, we'll have our snowbird alerts going across the screen. If you tune into WTOV9, Fox 9, snowbird alerts will be going across. If your school is canceled, you'll be able to spot it there. I don't have that off the top of my head, all the school cancellations or delays, but again, you can easily find it. If you go over to WTOV9.com, tune in to WTOV as well as Fox 9. We'll have that scrolling across the bottom of the screen, all those school cancellation delays. I'm sure that there is a lot going to be issued for tomorrow morning. There's still school. If you look at the snowbird, Megan says they're still having school there. And, with this being a more of a late event, that a lot of these schools may hold off until tomorrow morning to really make that call. It's unfortunate. I know that it's best to get it before even going to bed, but with this being more late tonight, tomorrow morning could hold off until really tomorrow for a lot of these schools to end up canceling. What's the record of days December has seen snow? So the record amount of days with snow, I guess maybe measurable snow in December, or just snow in general December, may be able to get that amount of snow in December in general. I wish I knew that off the top of my head, but it's interesting. I definitely can find that out, though. I could do some digging and at least look at record of days December has seen. We could do measurable snow. How many days in December have seen measurable snow? It'd be an interesting statistic there, Austin. Believe it when I see it, John says. Not a believer of the snow coming our way. Britta says no, because we were supposed to get 5 to 8 inches of snow, and I will, John, I'm with you. I'll believe it when I say I don't think we'll get quite that much there, Britton. But I think we'll get a lot of us 2 to 4 up there towards East Liverpool. Maybe you could sneak in 5 inches there, maybe end up being a little bit on the higher end into Columbiana County. So watch, maybe ending up on the higher end there, but 8 inches of snow, I find that hard to believe. I don't think we're going to get quite that many. Stay home and watch Landman, John says. Plug there to it's on HBO, right? Landman, HBO Max. I've watched a little bit of that show. Britton says, okay, thank you. I hope there's no school because I have it. And yeah, unfortunately, it could very well be a case where a lot of these schools might not actual cancel until tomorrow morning. You might see a lot of delays tonight. I think it's smart to do a lot of delays, but maybe not a lot of cancellations until the snow actually really starts to break out going into tomorrow morning. Shannon says, I came in late. How much wheeling getting? So a lot of us getting about 2 to 4 inches is where a lot of us are likely ending up. Again, maybe a little higher amounts towards Tuscarawas, Carroll, Columbiana County, but a lot of us are 2 to 4 inches. I don't foresee too much there varying too much as we go across the area. That's why I did do a snow map, because the amount's likely not varying too much. We're not getting a big gradient, right? We're not getting less than an inch in Wetzel County, and then 8+ inches in Carroll County. We're not getting that big difference across our area to make that snow map. I think a lot of us are within 2 to 4. It's a pretty unanimous snow event for us. Again, it can vary a little bit. It can stray a little bit. We can on the low end, some spots may only get 1 to 2, but a lot of us 2 to 4. And again, some places, especially towards Tuscarawas, Columbiana County, I think that's more of the area where we could get some of those heavier snow bands setting up. And I think that would be the only area to note on a snow map where maybe we trend a little bit higher than what most of us see, but nothing drastic. I don't think we're dealing with anything drastically higher across our area than the forecast of 2 to 4. So I don't think we're getting anything much drastic variance from that, but maybe a little bit more in some of those areas. So hopefully I answered that, Brandy, about 2 to 4, likely. A lot of us are ending up in that range. Britton says, okay, I hope there's no school tomorrow because I hate it. And I think you got pretty good odds that you're not going to have school. I think a lot of locations are not going to have school. I can't answer for every. I know some school districts a little less likely to cancel than others. I mean, I can't answer directly, but I think we'll see a lot of school closures tomorrow. It's just the timing of this, right? So the timing of this, and the delays only go so far. And I think the delays can help. Maybe some area schools with the delay could still have school, but I think a lot of places are going to end up canceling tomorrow. Even with the delay, taking it back, I think conditions can start to improve with the delay, a 2-hour delay, but probably not quite enough for those back roads for a lot of area schools. So maybe some more of this, maybe some of the city schools, maybe East Liverpool is one of them where a 2-hour delay is all that's needed. But I could just see it that a lot of schools are going to end up canceling it for tomorrow. And again, it may very well have to be until tomorrow morning, once we see a lot of that snow early tomorrow morning, for them to actually cancel. But I think we'll see quite a bit of snowbird alerts into tomorrow. So make sure to stay tuned for those. You'll see them scrolling across the bottom of the screen. We'll have them coming up, of course, News 9 tonight at 11 on WTOV 9, at 10 on Fox 9. We'll have those scrolling across the screen right now. If you tune in to News 9 on NBC, WTOV 9, as well as our Fox 9 channel, both of those will have them scrolling across the bottom of your screen. Head over to WTOV9.com as well, and you'll have the latest updated list of those delays, cancellations with our snowbird alerts as well. Kristen says, work at 4 p.m. I hope the road's clear by then. So tomorrow by 4 p.m. should be good to go, Kristen. I don't foresee it being an issue at that point tomorrow. It's a pretty narrow window of time tomorrow. And again, likely between about 4 to 8 a.m. is when we'll notice that snow really start to pile up. That could be our worst road conditions then going into 8, 9 o'clock, and then a big improvement from there. I think even over the period of a few hours into midday, it's a big improvement, but especially by 4 o'clock, I don't foresee any issue at all. I think a lot of the interstates and state routes are getting cleared around noon, early afternoon. And that point by 4 o'clock, I think even a lot of the county roads are getting cleared, and some of the township roads can be as well. So, crews, once they get off the main roads and start to concentrate on the back roads going up to 4, 5 o'clock there, I think a lot of the even side roads are beginning to get cleared, and it should be a big improvement. Temperatures also, as you can see, mid-lower 30s. So even if we can see those highs just above freezing tomorrow afternoon, that can really help crews as well start to clear. And I think we'll see a big improvement even over a period of a few hours once a lot of the snow tapers off from 10 a.m. Even over a period of a few hours into the early afternoon, it's a drastic improvement in road conditions. So should be okay there, Kristen, by 4 o'clock. Heading out there tomorrow afternoon should be clear. The vast majority, if not all the roads should be clear by then. Again, a lot of the state routes, interstates likely good by then. I think a lot of the county roads good by then, even some of the township roads, quite possibly as well. So, I think they're obviously going to concentrate along the side roads at that point. But I think all the main roads are good. And I think quite a few of the side roads likely are going to be good as well by then, by 4 o'clock tomorrow. What about new Tom Holland, Connor says, and we're looking at, again, the range across the area, probably not varying too much there, Connor, right around 2 to 4 inches. If there's a variance, it's a little bit between that, but not by much, right? I think a lot of us are within that range. The period of time that we'll pick up the bulk of our snow accumulations is between about 4 and 8. And during that time is when we get those heavier snowfall rates, about a ½ inch to an inch per hour. So that's where we get that 2 to 4 is where a lot of us can end up. And not too much snow, I think, before that. Not too much snow before that mark, before 4 a.m., just a little bit possible. We're still dealing with some dry air in place that can hinder a lot of the snow initially early on tonight, but late tonight it's not going to be an issue, and we'll get a good at least 4 hours for that snow to accumulate, and that's when we can deal with that heaviest snow and those rates of about a ½ inch to an inch between about 4 to 8 a.m. That's where we pile up the bulk of our snow. That's that window of time where we start to see our worst road conditions. And, that can continue up to about 9 a.m. as well, right? For those worst road conditions before drastically improving, I think, into midday. And that's likely what we're going to be dealing with at that window of time. Shannon asks, are we just snow or we have any sleet, freezing rain? Just anticipating all snow for us, Shannon. We're anticipating all snow. If we have any type of mixing in of precipitation in our area, it's likely going to be more towards Tyler County, maybe southern portion of Wetzel County. If we could see maybe that warm nose, a little warmer air moving into those areas, that could bring a period there of a little more mixed precipitation. But for the vast majority of us, no, the cold air is going to win out and we're dealing with just snow. For the vast majority of us, it's possible, still anticipating snow in Tyler, Wetzel County. But I'm just saying, if we were to see a little bit of a mixing occur, if the warm air is surging a little further north than anticipated, those would be the areas that we could deal with some mixing in. But for the vast majority of us, and including, I believe you asked about Wheeling, right? Yeah, Shannon, should be all snow there in Wheeling. Came in late, Frederick says. Toronto, yeah, about 2 to 4. A lot of us are in that range, about 2 to 4. A lot of us are likely within that and shouldn't vary too much from that. Again, the main takeaways is the timing, the impacts, right? Bad road conditions tomorrow morning, good road conditions for tomorrow afternoon. That's the key takeaways. The window of time, the heaviest snow up to 8 a.m. and then it's tapering off at that point. So that's why we get that big improvement in road conditions, I think, even into midday, but certainly by the afternoon hours tomorrow, it's a big improvement at that point. So hopefully I answer everyone's questions. Thank you as always for tuning in. I appreciate it. Our first round of some more widespread accumulating snow across the area. It is here. We got the snow tie out in however you look at it. Some of the snow lovers, it's in celebration. Others, it's in despise of, right? I know that not all of us are a fan of the snow, and I understand it's not as fun growing up, is it? When you got to get out and drive in it, it starts to lose its magic. And I don't know, some of you that still like the snow, maybe don't mind driving in it, maybe still excited for it. But yeah, it's here. Our first round of more widespread snow, ironically, right with the change of the calendar from one month to the next, it's here. Meteorological winter started today, runs from December going through February. And what a way to, kick off our winter months with just our first round of widespread accumulating snow across the area into tomorrow morning. And of course, always use some caution. That first round of snow, all right, don't let it catch you off guard. The roads are not going to be good. Again, a lot of our roads can be completely covered tomorrow morning. So just be prepared for it. A lot of especially these side roads, can be completely covered, unfortunately, for tomorrow morning's commute. Then a big improvement with the vast majority of roads clear by the afternoon hours. I think tomorrow afternoon, when crews, have a chance, the snow ends, crews have a chance, temperatures climbing into the 30s, get out, clear the roads, and going to be improvement quickly into the afternoon hours. So those are the key takeaways. Yes, unfortunately, roads are going to be bad tomorrow morning. We are going to deal with a lot of school closures across the area, and just, allow yourself plenty of extra time to take it slow, get to your destination safely tomorrow morning. Thank you, as always, for tuning into this edition of 8 at 8. I'll have the latest on the snow tonight and 2 tomorrow morning coming up. News 9 at 10 on Fox 9, News 9, 10, 9, 11. Anything is changing in the forecast, we'll be certain to let you know. So make sure to stay tuned for the latest coming up tonight. Until then, have a wonderful night. Stay safe tomorrow morning. I'll see all of you tomorrow evening for that next edition of 8 at 8. Have a good night.